Hi, hello everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today in our webinar related to the DRC implementation and how with Code10 you can make it a simple and a nice experience. Hi from me, I'm Anna. I'm a managing partner here at Code10, and I'm the product owner of the e-Compliance area at our company. And I will be covering today's webinar on the topic that I just mentioned. So the content of the webinar today will be basically split into three parts, let's say. First, what is the overall overview of DRC? What is it as a solution? How are the document processed end-to-end over there? What are the key features? What is the architecture of the solution? What DRC is not, and this is a very important point to keep in mind as well when we are implementing one of these solutions. Then, how is our take on the implementations of these solutions and these projects? And at the end, why us and why do we what we do differently in these situations and how we can help you achieve a successful implementation in your company. So first of all, for the ones who don't know us, we are an international consulting IT company, so we are very technical in our core and in our basis. We were born from the technical area of SAP, so we still operate pretty much in that area. But we also do a lot of data. We expanded outside of the SAP world in that sense. We help companies do their digital transformation in any area of the IT world. And of course, e-compliance, so electronic invoicing, tax reporting is one of our big pillars as well. Just as a short introduction and just to say why are we relevant to talk about these things, right? And these implementations. This is our short portfolio of implementations that we've done. So we've gone through the whole world, different continents, different solutions, different legal requirements, both standard SAP and non-standard SAP. So we have our own products, and we have developed our own solutions for legal requirements where SAP has or has not provided a standard solution. We also have the ticket by solution and product approved and available in the SAP store. And waiting now for the future legal requirements to come, the ones that we have announced, to continue working in the same direction. So going now to the main topic of today's webinar, SAP DRC, so Document and Reporting Compliance. What is it exactly? So it is an offering from SAP. It's a solution. It is a framework that enables organizations to create, to process, to monitor electronic documents, to create and send also statutory reports, and to be able to stay compliant with all the legal requirements and legal obligations in the countries where they operate. So it's more like a global solution for local compliance, right? So we have an overall product provided by SAP that allows us to integrate our SAP system in a secure way with the tax agencies, with third parties, with intermediaries, with PayPal networks, etc., where we need to send that report or that electronic document. We are able to automate those processes, so we don't have to be clicking right and sending or receiving all the invoices that we receive or have to issue. We have the opportunity to complete the reporting, to automate it, so that we have creation of reports based on the data that we have in our SAP systems. And also very, very important, it's a framework and it's a place where we can, in a simple, relatively speaking, simple way, add new solutions, extend to different legal requirements or different countries, and scale into broader implementations themselves. So this product, the document reporting and the reporting compliance from SAP, is divided into four main blocks. We have the creation of the electronic document. So what is an electronic document? One electronic document corresponds to one SAP document. So it can be an FI, an invoice, a delivery note. It can be all kinds of different documents that we have in the system, and we can see them in the e-document cockpit, in the e-document framework within the SAP system, right? So after having these electronic documents created, then we need to prepare them in order to be able to submit them to the relevant tax authority, agency, intermediary, or whatever entity we need to send it to, right? So we cannot just send a document that it's in SAP format, because obviously that's not the legal requirement that is expected of us to comply with. So we need to prepare the data that we have in SAP, map it, transform it in the way that it's supposed to be at the end of the line, and then submit it. This submission requires a connection of some sort between your SAP system and the endpoint where this document needs to arrive. And then we have the reconciliation part. So it's the other way around. We receive a status, we receive a message, we receive an error or whatever information that we receive from the outside world within our system, and we use this message and this information to reconcile those electronic documents that we have in the system and update them with the current status, force a correction, or trigger any action that might be necessary in that particular moment. And once we have the data reconciled and correct and updated and real-time monitored, let's say within the PEPL network or within the local network, wherever we're operating, we are then ready to do the statutory reporting. So we are sure that the data that we have is consistent, is valid, and is correct, and we can proceed to create that report and send it in an automatic way or not, depending on the legal requirements or on the necessities of the company itself. So as I mentioned, we have like two parts, right? In terms of infrastructure and in terms of architecture. So we have the part that is within the ERP, within SAP, in the backend, if you will, where we have the creation, the processing, and the monitoring of those e-documents from inside towards the outside world. We import incoming messages. So we have vendor invoices and all sorts of messages that we might receive. They are transformed in this format and created as an e-document in the cockpit in DRC, in the layout, right? We can upload an incoming XML message, so directly from the XML format create an e-document. We can submit invoices or documents overall in a bundle, right? We don't have to be clicking 1,000 times for a day just to submit any kinds of documents. So there is a room for automation of these processes, obviously, and not only sending of the invoices, the receiving, some corrections can be automated as well, etc., etc. And we can also set the status of these documents manually to complete it, for example, for better clarity and better understanding. And then we have the integration part, right? So we discussed that we have all these processes, documents in SAP, but then we need to integrate and connect our SAP system to the tax authority, to a business partner, to an intermediary, to a customer directly, or whatever it is. So we have the integration part that can be different components, right? We can have the document and reporting compliance cloud edition, which is the latest offering from SAP in this sense. We can have SAP cloud integration or integration suite based on when you have incorporated, if it's before 2020 or after. And this is for certain solutions, like for example, SII in Spain and so on and so forth, that go through integration suite. Or only for Brazil inbound invoicing, we have a separate option that is exclusive for this solution whenever applicable. So in terms of architecture, and just a little bit, I will not go into too much technical details, but just to understand the boxes and the organization in terms of architecture, right? So we have the SAP S/4HANA or the HANA Cloud Private Edition, where we have the document cockpit, as we all know it from years ago. We have the solutions segregated over there per country or region, and then per legal requirement. So we have a very clear, and this is very important, very clear role assignment here and segregation of duties depends on who needs to see what, who needs to do what, in which countries, etc., etc. So not everybody can see everything, obviously. And this is how it is organized within the cockpit. And then we have SAP BTP, the middleware part is DRC, the cloud edition, is a BTP enablement or integration suite, depends on which solution are we talking about. We have the external system that is receiving the message and then sending the response, and the message is propagated back to SAP, where we have the reconciliation of all the documents. So little bit more zooming into SAP, right? Like I mentioned that there is the creation of e-documents, so electronic documents that we see in the cockpit, and these come from they can come from any process in SAP. So it doesn't have to be only an invoice or an FI posting or whatever. It can be a logistic movement, it can be sales billing, it can be a logistics invoice, it can be direct FI posting, obviously, real estate, etc., etc. It can be any type of document. You just need to activate the process, do the correct mapping, and so on and so forth. So that is triggered, the creation of this document. And then when this is performed as an action and all the conditions are met, we see this specific e-document in the electronic document processing framework, where we can see it segregated per country and then further down by solution. Then we get the BTP part, and this is, I'm not going to repeat it again, going to the recipient, to the endpoint, and getting back with the response propagated back to SAP. So, what are the key features of this product, of this SAP offering? First of all, and I think maybe some will disagree, but for me it's one of the, if not the most important characteristic, is that it's holistic. It's holistic and it's centralized, right? So we can here find all the relevant information in real time, and they're available in one centralized tool. So imagine one organization, multinational. It spans across different continents, countries, different processes, different areas of work, etc., etc. So we have a very diverse landscape of systems, of legal requirements to comply with. We cannot ask the accountants or the users, the business in general, to be an expert in all of these things separately, and to have to go and learn a different process for every different country, for every different legal requirement, right? This decentralization is very important, not only for IT, for maintenance and the moment of implementation of the project, but it's very important in the day-to-day activities of the users that actually use it. So for the ones that it's actually made, right, as a product. So if we embed everything in one place, it is more user-friendly in a sense that is, I know that the legal requirements are different and they will never be the same, but the bottom line will be the same, and the user experience, at least, it's easy for the users to go from one country to another. And I think this is very, very important, and I think SAP has nailed it here, and this is something that we really deeply share with them. And the next part would be the automation, right? So it's very important to be able to automate all of these processes and to have as little user interaction as possible, because we are talking about great volumes of documents, great volumes of traffic that needs to go back and forth and needs to be not only reconciled, but processed. And we need to have visibility on what's going on and what's not. So a clear monitoring tool and a clear vision on what we have in the system, and automated as well, is really very, very helpful. And the digitalized reporting and extensibility is also an important part over here. So this comes more on the scalability end of the story. So if we have mounted 1 to 4 legal requirements, right, we will have another one for sure coming up. If it's not this year, it's the next year. If it's not in Europe, it's in South America. There are all the time new legal requirements, even the ones that have already established a law or something to require from the companies. Those things change, formats change, governments change, everything changes. So we need to be on top all the time, and we need to know what to expect and to know that there will be things coming. So the dynamics of it is very important for us to be aware, first of all, that this is the situation, and then SAP is able to provide, and we need to be aware of it, that we have the possibility to extend relatively easily. So we have a compliance calendar that we can check. We can relaunch or re-execute again some reports that we already did, so we don't have to start it from scratch if same rules apply. And we have real-time scenarios that we can rely on for testing purposes or checking purposes, etc., etc. There are also possibilities of incorporating within partner solutions, not only standard solutions from SAP. So it is a very broad, let's say, framework that allows a lot of capabilities over here regarding compliance. So we mentioned all the things that DRC is, right? How it can help us, what it can do, how it's integrating, and so on and so forth. But there are a lot of things that DRC is not. And it is really paramount that we have a clear vision on what the limitations are, what not to expect when we are implementing one of these projects and one of these solutions, so we don't get not only disappointed, but not to end up with a product that at the end of the day, it's not what we thought it would be. So what it's not, it's a plug and play solution. And this is very important. So here we install the nodes, we do the proper customizing and so on, but we also have to know the scope of the project. We have to know what applies for our company in the moment of implementation and how to implement those processes that apply for us within the solution. It's not the same for every company. It's not the same for every company code or legal entity within the same company. And it's not the same between systems. So we really need to know what we're up against, how to customize, how to adjust the solution to the processes of each company, and how to implement it in a proper way. And it's not a one-time project. I mentioned before, and I really don't get tired of repeating this. There are legal requirements that are already in place, that are legal requirements that are coming our way, that are announced, others that are not yet announced but are coming, and they are the ones that are in place and are changing, and so on and so forth. So this is not a one-time implementation. We need to be there. We need to be aware what we are implementing. We need to maintain it, and we need to be present all the time with these kind of solutions, not only from the technical perspective, both from legal and accounting. And this brings me to the third point. It's not an IT-only solution for most not, but for a lot of SAP implementation projects, we have parts that are strictly IT, strictly technical, and we implement, it works, and when we're done. This is not one of those. So we need to work closely with the business, with the legal team, very important, with the IT functional, IT technical team, to bring the most out of the implementation, not only from user experience, but from correctness, from robustness, and from legal compliance point of view. Testing, so it is not forgiving of bad data. I think this goes for everything, but it is also very important to mention here that we have to test every single flow that we will be working on, and we need to have proper data to test with. So if we do only happy flows and we do only the simple processes when we are testing, it will work, yes. But then when we go into the real world and we go into a real implementation and real life reports or submissions, etc., we will find another complex solution that is real for the company, for our organization, and we need to have tested it first. We cannot risk sending bad data to tax authority. It has legal consequences. It has very different, very grave consequences on all. It's not country agnostic. So there isn't like one generic solution that we just implement and then we tweak one or two things for a country or not. This is not country agnostic. It has to be for a specific country. It has to be for a specific legal requirement, because the government, they are not all the same, and all of them have a different idea on what they need to see in a report, what they need to see in an electronic invoice, electronic document, etc., etc. It is not a replacement for tax expertise. It is not. I mean, it's we do have help from the tax team, from the legal team, expert in taxes when we are mounting this, when we are doing the initial analysis, etc., etc. But we need a constant consultation from their side. They need to be checking constantly. If anything changes within the company, they need to be there present to see if everything is correct, if everything is compliant, and if everything is if it makes sense what we're doing over here. And that is also very connected to the next point. It is not self-maintaining. So we don't just implement and leave it there and it works. It's not one of those projects. So we need to be constantly there checking, and we need to make sure that everything is correct, because the data that we are feeding the system, it's also live, right? It's not static. It changes every month. It changes every day. And we have different documents and different data flowing within the system all the time. And also, as a conclusion, it is not risk-free at go live, right? So this usually, sometimes it's recommended also to keep both legacy and the new system at least for one cycle period, like 1 month, or it can be a quarter, or it can be a semester, depending on the processes in a company, to keep both alive, just in case. If we don't use them, we don't use them, great. But in case we need them, we have them. So all of these aspects until now, and all of the years of working in these projects and implementations that we've done so far over the years have brought us to these 10 key enablements for a successful SAP DRC implementation, right? So this is what we bring into every project that we do, and this is what we constantly rely on, and this is what we insist that our clients comply with us on in order to have a good experience throughout the implementation of the project. So first of all, well-defined scope. We need to know what applies for us in terms of the legal requirement, right? We have a series of document types, we have a series of tax types, we have a series of requirements that might be there within a law that can or cannot apply for our case. And we need to know properly and very well the processes that we work on and how they translate in these legal requirements. So we need to define the scope very well to know the countries, the law, the legal requirements, etc., to know what we are actually implementing and what we should expect at the end of this implementation. We need to have reliable data. We need to have reliable data for testing, for checks, for everything, and to know that all processes are covered and the data is correct. The business partners are updated, they have the correct data over there, and the format of the data is correct, etc., etc. We need to have clear ownership of everything. And this is very important for every implementation, but here especially. So we need to know who is responsible for which part of the implementation itself, right? So I need to know who to go to in case I am missing some data, or in case I'm missing some authorizations, or in case I'm missing access to a system, or I need some accounting information, etc., etc. What I don't like is to be sending mass emails to all the team of 30, 50, 100 people in a hope that somebody will come back with an information, right? We don't do silos in the team organizations, because it difficults the communication and it makes the implementation much harder for everybody. And number 4 goes without saying. So solid knowledge of legal and technical requirements is a must. And not only from the partner's implementation side, also from the client side. I don't expect to have a legal expert or a technical expert in DRC in every client that I go, but I do need somebody who will know their processes, because the rest of the part I'm there for that, right? They have the technical knowledge, I have the legal knowledge for the implementation, but we need to have a synergy of this knowledge and this information in order to go forward with the implementation properly. Strong integration with upstream processes. Yes, we need to have the FIMM consolidated, all the areas of SAP, all the modules. The data should be flowing properly, and they all need to be set up in the test systems as they should. And this goes for the rigorous testing. So I think this goes without saying. All flows needs to be tested. And not only the flows and the processes themselves, a very important part in the testing is the performance and the volume testing. So if we're expecting to have 1 million invoices per month, we need to be prepared for this kind of volume, right? Parallel run period. So this is, again, like I mentioned, to have both systems working at least for one posting period, just in case. Cutover and go live planning, also very important. So we cannot just expect to go live without a proper plan. And the change management and user adoption, this is very important. So we have to enable the business users, the end users, the ones that we are implementing this for, actually. We need to enable them in the moment of not only how to use the tool, but why is it necessary. They need to understand the logic behind it and why it is necessary for them to do it or to use it in order to be easier for them at the end of the day, because understanding makes it really, really simpler. And another important point. So we just don't go live, do hypercare and leave. So there has to be a well-established post-go live. I call them success factors because they do comprise success in a go live. So we need to have country-specific legal monitoring, and SAP enables this with the web page, with the regulatory change management that they have provided, where we can check not only the legal requirements but also the availability of their solutions, what are they working on, when is it coming up, etc., etc. Archiving and retention strategy is also very important after the go live, because a lot of these legal requirements, they mandate that you keep the invoice or the document for 5, 10, 15 years, etc., depending on the country. And here I repeat again, and it's not an error, that we need to have a clear ownership, not only for the implementation, but also for the post-go-live processes and maintenance afterwards. And this goes same for the change management and the user adoption process. So, from complexity to clarity. Hope I don't scared everybody. I didn't scare everybody off with this. I know it's very complicated and it can be very difficult to implement this kind of projects. But what I can guarantee that we count on is our experience over there, and having the right methodology is really, really important in the moment of implementing. And it's very important, not only the deep legal and the technical knowledge, but also having a partner who stays with you beyond the go live. So not just, okay, this is what you have, I pack my bags and go. Key takeaways, and this is very quickly because I think we are kind of running out of time. So very important to know, DRC is not plug and play. We need to have the right scope, we need to have the right knowledge, we need to have the right data, we need to test properly and have the correct ownership of all the tasks and all the responsibilities here. And that we have to understand that this is between finance, tax, and IT. And this, we are all on the same boat, and we have to work together in order to take this in the right direction. So our approach here is very, very aligned and very similar to SAP. Again, me with the holistic vision of the solution, but I really think it's very important. SAP has seen it, we've seen it, and I think more and more companies fall into line on this approach because it is very useful, it is scalable, and long-term it makes our lives much easier and the clients as well. So I know also that the implementations are never perfectly linear. So there are always curves, there are always some special cases. Everybody is doing the things their own way, and we need to Keep an eye on the processes. We need to be alert. Don't drop the ball during implementation, and make sure that we cover all aspects, because country requirements diverge. Business processes don't always fit the standard templates, but the deadlines also never wait. So we are always in a situation that we have to do it, right? We have to comply with this legal requirement, and it's not one way or the other. We are there, and we have to do it, and we have to go through. Added value here that we provide is the end-to-end methodology. We are basing our methodology on the SAP's Activate methodology, and not only covering implementation, but also post go live period. We have legal and technical expertise in our team, and we work together, all together, and we don't work in silos, because this is never the way, and it never works. And we follow a structured path, right, from scope and go live to long-term compliance. So yeah, why us? The knowledge that we have, the experience that we have. We also provide solutions that SAP doesn't. So SAP has a vast offering of legal requirement solutions for different countries and different types, but there are some that they don't cover. So we have developed some of those. They can be integrated within the DRC, within the document framework. I have to warn you here that is subject to a licensing model by SAP for the use of the framework, even though the solution is not provided by them. But it is possible to keep the holistic view of the whole thing. We are with you beyond the go live, and as I mentioned, we speak finance, tax, and IT. So that was all from me. I think time-wise, it's been quite well, right? Do we have any questions here?
Yes, we have.
Yes, Anna, tell me.
Common questions. So the first one is, what happens with the legal requirements that are not covered by SAP DRC?
Thank you. That's a great question. I just mentioned really briefly, but I can go a little bit more into detail. So SAP doesn't always cover all the legal requirements. For example, I mentioned at the beginning as well, ticket buy. It's a legal requirement. It has actually 3 parts for the 3 different provinces in Basque Country. It's a region in Spain. And SAP never provided a standard solution for it, because the scope was too small. The solution was quite difficult, I have to say. But we did develop a solution for it, and we did integrate it within the document framework. It is in the SAP store for whoever is interested to check it out. And we also have developed some more, but if we don't have it already, we can, because we do have the technical expertise and the knowledge from both legal and requirements from the countries, right? And also from the SAP part and the whole framework from within.
Perfect. And what happens with legal requirements that are going to be mandatory in the future, but SAP hasn't yet released a complete solution for them, or is still working?
Okay, great question. Yes, we can start implementing the nodes that SAP has released so far. I mean, we have to be patient with this. These are very complex legal requirements overall, and SAP follows through. I mean, it's sooner or later. The last one that we had was Poland, and we got there. Everything worked well at the end within the implementation. There were notes and some corrections released a little bit afterwards, but there was nothing critical. I don't remember any major issues with anything. So yeah, SAP follows through. I mean, it's a stable product, it's a stable solution, and a reliable one for that matter. And yeah, we just need to sit tight and pay attention and see whenever we have all the things coming up to implement them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. It was a pleasure, and hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye-bye.